All right, good Monday morning, you guys. Man, I feel like all of us are somewhat in chaos, but you guys are listening to Author Talk with me, Amy. Russell Bjorn is our guest co-host, and Ben is our future author guest, is how I'm going to label it. So, you guys, let's just jump into the weekend because my weekend was crazy as hell, okay? And Russell's, I'm sure yours was too, but let's just dive right into it. So, I went home this weekend. My sister-in-law was graduating high school and she was emceeing her graduation. So we went to that. And then my family, because you guys know I have sisters and no brothers. And so we all did like a later, mommy's day kind of celebration all together with our kids. And then I came home yesterday morning, had to go grocery shopping and all that. On top of all of that, you guys, my strep came back. So then I also had an urgent care appointment to get medication to make my strep go away. Russell, I don't want to hear it. And so, fun times over here at the Ravi Chandran household. I'm just ignoring Russell right now and his comments that I know are just irking to come to the surface. But it was a fun, chaotic time. Now we are supposed to be getting storms and baseball-sized hail and, all the fun stuff with living in a bipolar state brings you. But I hope all of you guys had a really fun weekend, a lot more fun, less crazier than mine. Russell, you probably have some good stories. So tell me what all you guys did this weekend. Who wants to go first?
Well, let Ben go first because he's packing up to move to Alaska for the summer or something.
Well, not yet,
Nice.
not yet. But I did like you, Amy. That we have a son that's graduating high school, so my entire family came in to where I live here in Central Texas. But so before the event, I had to basically have a heat stroke getting everything ready outside. It's a lot of work living in a rural Texas environment to keep everything presentable. So lots of yard work that I did to get everything ready for the big party. So, but it was great. Saw a lot of my family, a lot of cousins or nieces and nephews, and cousins of mine came in. So we had a great time celebrating the graduation of my second oldest son.
Nice. And you didn't die of heat stroke because it was hot as hell this weekend.
It
It was
was.
hot. Yeah. It was hot. Bjorn, what about you? What did you do this weekend?
You know me, not much. I stayed around here at the farm and worked on the books, but we'll report the last time I was on, we talked about the baby bunny and the new pet baby bunny. And I know Russell's going to
Yeah,
roll
you
his
should
eyes
have
at this.
killed that thing.
Oh, Russell.
I know you're going to roll your eyes, Russell, but we tried to domesticate the bunny. The bunny wouldn't be domesticated, so it was turned loose. But we had to wait on it to get big enough that it could run the gauntlet and not get killed in 10 minutes. So it's living in the woods in front of our little field out front. We've seen it, so it's still out there.
Still nice. It's still alive. There's hope for it. I love it.
And we're also conducting a social experiment with the chickens. The chickens, we have 2 chickens sitting on eggs. One of them sitting on chicken eggs. One of them sitting on guinea eggs. And since guineas are notoriously bad mothers, we're going to see how this goes. Maybe the chickens will raise the guineas not to be as dumb as they are. We'll see.
Man, I don't even know what a guinea is. I have no idea.
I
What
gotta
that is.
say, that's a pretty good story, Bjorn. I like that story because that's saying that you have all these chickens and you're raising guineas, and that is a place that I would love to walk around.
Oh, it's fun. It's fun. Guineas are, for Amy's benefit, guineas are, if you take a chicken, a turkey, and a dinosaur and mix it together, that's what a guinea is.
Oh, okay. Those are 3 things I don't think go together, but okay. I like
kinda
it. I
do.
like it. Okay.
It's got a horn on its head, on top of its head, like a dinosaur. That looks
Oh,
kind of like a chicken turkey thing.
sure it's
Tastes pretty
Yeah.
good, dude.
They do taste good. I haven't tried one, but I've heard they do. And they're very, very stupid. They're far dumber than chickens. So there's always that to
That is
consider.
impossible.
Oh my
It's possible.
goodness.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
So this weekend we moved from Atlanta to Houston with nothing that we own because We hadn't sold our house yet, so you can't move stuff. You've
Right.
got to keep all the furniture in the house. So we packed up 7 suitcases and we moved to Houston. We don't even know where we're going to be in 7 days because we hadn't got into corporate housing yet. So we're living a wild and crazy world. And I kind of like it.
Didn't you
How's
just move to
Rita?
Georgia?
3 years ago.
That's too much moving for me.
Yeah. Actually, I have this philosophy. I believe the older you get, the more you need to disrupt your life so you can feel the motion of time and not be comfortable. And the trouble is, I'm living my philosophy and I've completely disrupted my life. So, what
I
can I
like
say?
that. How's
We need to.
Rita?
Rita, I actually went out and bought her a children's swimming pool this morning so she can stay in the water because this heat's about to wipe her out because she's a Georgia mountain dog. She doesn't know what this heat is. There's not this kind of heat and humidity in Georgia at its worst. Trust me.
I
We
love
need
it. I love it.
we need to thank the people that are listening to us. Most people don't watch us on Monday morning, but they listen to our podcast during the week. Uh, we are very grateful about it and we thank you. When we first started, I couldn't find us on the podcast channels, and I kept having to ask Amy where they were. Then she changed everything, and now even I can find us. If I can, you can. Amy, where can people find us on our podcast channels?
Russell, that is true. If Russell can find us, you guys, anybody can find us. And I mean that in the most loving term ever. But
It's
yes,
true.
I was getting text messages 30 minutes after our show every Monday. I can't find us. So I'm glad that he can find us, you guys. But you can go anywhere that you can look for a podcast. My go-to is Amazon Music, Spotify, Good Pods. If you're an Android user, Google Play. If you're an iPhone user, we still love you. You can go on to Apple and look for our podcast. Look for the Crimson, Red, and Gold. Type in Author Talk. You can see all of our shows, listen to them. You can also go over to our YouTube channel and see all of them if you want to laugh with us, because we're generally laughing with and at ourselves most of the time. Me and Valerie are generally pretty animated. We talk a lot with our hands. I actually am sitting on my hands to prevent me from doing that right now. But go on over those. Any one of our social media channels are open. You guys can hang out and engage with us and in the comment section. If you want to be on the show, send us a direct message because I get too many emails and they get bogged down. And, if you're lucky enough to have my number, text me. I will get you on the show. But I know me and Russell and Bjorn are dying to jump into this conversation with Ben. So he went to a writer's conference. Ben is jumping into becoming a published author and that whole journey. And you know how me and Russell are always on the fence about being a team player, going to these writing conferences, all these things. So Ben is here to enlighten us in his experience and to kind of hopefully put an end to the debate in which me and Russell always have.
They're not going to end it.
I know. Just like me and you won't end our TikTok debate either.
Well, we need to have that debate because I have new evidence that you're wrong, but that's another story. Bjorn, why don't you talk to Ben about his first author conference ever?
Oh, first, Ben, I'd like to ask where are you on your author journey itself? Are you do you have anything published yet, or?
No. So I do not have any novels published. I've written 2 novels. The first was more like a test, just my first attempt at a novel, and enjoyed that experience very much. And my second is at the developmental editor stage right now. So I've finished my rewrite, and then I gave it to the developmental editor. She should be turning that around pretty soon. I should have it any day now, actually.
Oh, that's speaking from experience. That's an agonizing thing to do, isn't it? Wait on that feedback from the editor.
I guess it can be, but I was rewriting it is an agonizing experience as well. When you do it 3 or 4 times, and but that was fun. I actually enjoyed a lot of that, so I'm looking forward to getting it back.
So, what prompted you to start looking at conferences? I'm learning from this discussion because I haven't been to one, and I need to. I just, now that you're here and you've been, I can ask you.
Well, so I was trying to time my assessment of the options with the progress of my book, and once I really realized that, hey, my second novel is something that I really do want to publish and make a good effort to do that. I started analyzing what the options were. Started assessing that through various research, online mainly, and then found a seminar that focused on explaining the options to new writers or new authors, especially in particular. And I thought that would be very helpful for me because it can be a little confusing online. It does kind of get a little confusing if you're just doing random research online. So it's hard to understand who do you trust,
No, absolutely. I definitely understand that. So when you, how did you choose the one, I guess? Which one jumped out at you? Which one said this is the one you should go to for your first conference?
It was the main focus was to understand the differences between basically self-publishing, traditional publishing, kind of the blend between the two, hybrid publishing, and then of course they explain some of the other ways that you publish books in today's market, right? The different forms that you publish books, and of course, I mean, they even talked about vanity publishing and how that has happened, is a form you need to watch out for. So and then understanding the market itself. How does it work when you're talking about literary agents? What kind of sales can you expect to achieve, and different options that you pursue, and how do you maximize those, et cetera? I mean, it was a pretty comprehensive view of the industry, and having a bunch of new authors going through the same experience, I also thought was helpful to kind of talk to each other from a perspective of ignorance, really, trying to figure something out. It was pretty enlightening.
Nice. Did you so the other authors, they all kind of melded together well, I would imagine, because you're all there kind of with the same concerns and everything, right?
Right, absolutely. In between the sessions, all the new, the authors that were there were comparing notes and trying to understand deeper about what the message was during the session. And if they had any questions, we would kind of team up or huddle up in various groups to clarify that with each other. If we couldn't, we would then go to the speaker or the presenters and ask more detailed questions.
Cool. When you were going through this process and listening to the information being delivered, how overwhelming was it? What I mean by that is I've been to a few mainly around marketing type things, but I've been to a few online type meetings about marketing, and it seemed like it almost was, I don't know anything about it, so it seemed almost overwhelming, almost scary. Is that sort of what you felt, or did you approach it in a more stable angle than I did, I guess?
I did, as I mentioned earlier, I did quite a bit of research beforehand. So I felt I was able to approach it with more of a stable view of kind of where things were. But there were aspects of it that were unclear, because everywhere you go online or even at the seminar, people are pushing a message, or whoever's advertising, a lot of times they have a particular agenda they're trying to push out there. And so you're really trying to drill down beneath that and understand as how does that relate to your novel, and is this the best option for you? So I felt I was able to approach it with a pretty inquisitive mind, pretty in tune with kind of what was going on in general with the industry, but really to try to penetrate deeper into the different options.
Have you kind of decided what your path to publishing is going to be, or are you still weighing all your options there?
Yeah, no, I'm pretty much decided. I mean, unless something radically changed, I'm going to do the self-publishing option, and I can kind of walk you through that process. Yay, self-publishing.
That's right. I did the same thing. I understand.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, do you want me to kind of go through that? Kind of what the considerations?
Yeah, what was your thought process? I know a lot of it's going to be like kind of a personal choice from one author to the other. What kind of led you down the path of decision making to decide to do self-publishing?
Right. Well, significant decisions like this. I mean, it's a very important decision for an author to make. There's a lot at stake and a lot of potential benefits or lack of benefits, either way, depending on your novel. And it's not the same for everybody, I would imagine,
Right.
So the first consideration I had was to understand the layout of the land. Like, what could you expect from a revenue and a profit margin perspective from both options, right? And so after looking at that, it was very clear. I mean, the numbers and statistics speak a lot to that you can find online, which is what I found with the top 10 traditional publishers. Basically, what you can expect from those guys, and this kind of puts things in perspective according to your book. Only 7% of their, we're talking about the top 10 publishers in the country, only 7% sell more than 10,000 books in their first year. 12% sell more than 5,000 books, and only 33% sell more than 1,000 books in their first year. So those are pretty staggering, shocking numbers to me, on a, I know those, I'm not trying to discount the significance of those numbers. However, it was much less than I anticipated from a large traditional publishers, to begin with. And then on the flip side of it, when you look at the self-publishing, the numbers themselves are not very staggering either. The average self-publishing book is about 300 written books, about 1,000 in all formats is the research data that I found for self-publishing books. So, but you also have to factor in the profit margin. And so at the end of the day, you're making, as a new publisher with a traditional publishing, it's about 7% of the royalties compared to 100% of the royalties with self-publishing. So you can sell far fewer self-publishing books and come out at the same. So that was kind of where what it all ends up at is how many books does it take in either route to end up with about the same amount of money. And what I also learned was it's not really that's not the biggest factor either, because you really have to be in it for the long haul. Either way, you have to have, it's about building your brand, publishing multiple books. And over time, you're building your business base, over time. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing.
Yeah.
Marathon, not a sprint. Yeah.
Yeah. I know Amy says that. Amy's been to bounce some ideas off of, and Russell as well, both of them. But so those are some of the bigger picture considerations. And then aside from that, it was, just basic negotiation. I also feel that you want to enter a negotiation from a position of leverage over one of weakness if you can. And as a new author, I felt my position is very weak, unproven, as a new author without a published book. If you try to get a traditional publisher, you're probably going to get the worst deal you can get if you don't have a home run series like a Harry Potter or something like that.
Right. Yep.
So being realistic about your book is also important, a piece of the pie, So
I think one thing that appealed to me for self-publishing was complete creative control. You don't feel like you handed your baby off to somebody else. You still have it, and it's yours, and you can kind of guide its future. Is that kind of how you view it, or is it a little different from your angle?
Yeah, well, certainly, if you're comparing apples to apples, if the outcome was the same, I want to retain 100% of my control. Absolutely, and that is where I'm at. However, I mean, I do also believe, like in business in general, that sometimes you do need to team up to get farther and make more out of your product, make more headway out of getting it out there. However, I think as a first author, I think that's just almost impossible. A first-time author, I mean, it's just very, very difficult. It's a needle in a haystack, and so I favor retaining my rights, negotiating one day from a position of leverage. If I do end up ever going with a traditional publisher, and you just look around, look at the other authors out there, the stories like Vince Flynn was one who had to self-publish and eventually, had enough traction to where he was able to get traditionally published and did very well that way. But there's success stories, and no matter which direction you go, but I think it depends on your book.
And I think, and feel free to disagree if you want, but I also feel like the goals that are set are very subjective and change wildly between authors too. I mean, if there's different angles you can go as far as what you consider success to look like. Myself, and I was just trying to, I just want to get it out there in the court of public opinion and get a reasonable read on how good is it. Of course I'm going to think it's good. I wrote it, but I don't know if others feel that way. So, and I've talked to Amy about this and Mickey a bunch of times. That was always my goal. It was never for myself. It was never how much can I make off this book. It was how can I keep the cost per sale down. Let's be honest, until I get a good read on what it looks like and where to go from here, and how much harder to push, how many other avenues to take for marketing and stuff. Where are you at with that? I mean, are you in a similar position, or are you kind of coming at it from a different viewpoint?
I think it's a combination. So similarly, I certainly agree. As a new author, of course you think your book's wonderful. I think mine's wonderful. And you want to get it out there and get that into the court of public opinion to get a reality check. To get a reality check and a real feel for if it's good or not. But then I think that right there is kind of a little bit where my strategy might focus. I'm not as focused on the lowest cost per book at this point in time, because I also think you can have a great book, and if you have a terrible marketing plan, then you're not going to get the exposure you need to get that court of public opinion to make a decision. And so knowing on both options, or all the options for publishing, and the research I found is, as a new author, you're basically going to foot the bill no matter which route you take. You're going to be paying the marketing cost for your book no matter what. And so I'm going to give it my best effort. I'm going to put a lot of effort and reasonable amount of money behind pushing my initial book forward, my first novel. I'm already writing the sequel for it, and try to give it just my best effort. And initially I want to I'm going to probably spend a little bit more on my marketing than some people might, and I understand that. But I feel like that initial step, that initial introduction of yourself as an author, is like in any business. You're going to, in the beginning, you got to invest in it if you expect something to come back. And so that's how I'm approaching that, so I realize I won't be as profitable.
I have a couple of questions. Ben, about this conference that you chose as a new trying to get published author, what did you use to pick that particular conference, and what suggestions would you make to the listeners when they pick their first conference?
So I went online and I did do quite a bit of research trying to find a conference that focused on this particular topic, understanding the industry 101. How do you approach it as a new author? And I feel like there were some of them out there that maybe were pushing more of an agenda or not. I mean, one or the other. But I do feel this one was more focused on trying to explain the various options. They did have literary agents there. So one of the sessions was pitching your book to a literary agent. And they had probably 10 or 15 of them. They had a whole session on self-publishing. They had a whole session on traditional publishing where you could, then they just had a question session. It was real, I would say, open to dialogue. And for those authors that in particular are trying to figure out the industry and how to navigate it with respect to your book in particular, I thought it was helpful.
What were some of the other benefits you got out of the conference that you think listeners might look for?
Yeah, there were some basic tips on how to improve writing. They had some sessions on, how to develop your characters better, or how to connect with your reader better when you're writing. So I think there was some avenue of that, but really in particular it was focused on what I described. But I also appreciated about this particular seminar that there were a lot of new authors there. I think it revealed something to me, both good and bad, in that maybe not good and bad is not the right word, but surprising, but also in something that wasn't surprising is you have to be careful when you're approaching this industry with your first novel, maybe even your second or third. If you're not in tune with how it works, you could give away a lot. You could leave a lot on the table, give away a lot of rights, and not understand the impact of that. If you sign up with literary agents and get with a publisher a little too quickly, without understanding the options fully. So that was something that I felt was revealing when I was talking to the new authors. A lot of them were really focused on getting a literary agent. And I feel like I learned that a lot of literary agents, sign up a lot of authors and make a little bit of commission off of a lot of authors there. And I think there's a lot of the new authors that just aren't in tune with the industry. That's
So, what are some of these agendas that you seem to become aware of during the conference and uh, thought you had to avoid or see through?
well, so one in particular I felt was, so the literary agents, when you're talking about commissions, so let's say you're going to go the traditional publishing route, and I mentioned earlier you're going to get 7% of that cut. Well, out of that 7% of the royalties that you get as an author going the traditional publishing route, and that's negotiable. I mean, it can plus or minus, but the general consensus was 7%. So out of that, you're going to split your commission with your agent, your literary agent, 85% to 15%. So they get 15% of the commission. And so I felt like there's a lot of literary agents out there that focus on signing up a lot of smaller, authors that don't ever make it big. And that's I'm not knocking them and as far as how they approach their making their fee, but I'm saying from an author perspective, you need to be aware of that. That's one strategy. It's not just, hey, I'm going to hit a home run if I get a literary agent. I think a lot of authors come into this seminar that I was talking about thinking, hey, if I get a literary agent, we're going to hit a home run. If I can just, land this literary agent, then we're going to make it big. Well, I don't believe that's the case at all. I think there's an entire industry, a segment of the industry that thrives off of signing up authors that don't ever make it big, right? And there's nothing wrong with that in particular. It's just a reality that you as an author, or one as an author, needs to have in mind before they sign with a literary agent or go towards the traditional publishing route. Because if you end up going a traditional publishing route and you sign up with a literary agent, and now you're paying for all your marketing, but you never make it big, I think you're going to be very discouraged at the results you see financially.
So what should they do instead?
Well, my suggestion is to do similar to what I am doing. Is I think first is understand the reality. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I just was like first.
Yeah. First, understand, have a realistic expectation of your book. Understand, how is the market going to receive my book? Is it a Harry Potter book? Is it something that's going to sell 5,000 copies in a year, which is a good number if you're self-publishing, and what does that mean for my next book? If I'm doing that for 5 years and I sell 25,000 copies, by 5 years, what was book number 2 and number 3 and number 4? What are they going to be selling in that pipeline? And then understand that you can negotiate better deals from a position of leverage. If you're just gonna, shoot an arrow out in the sky and hope for the best, wherever it's going to land with respect to your book, by signing up an agent and not really understanding the long-term strategy, don't expect much. I feel you're not going to get much unless you have the home run book, unless you can hit that home run. So my suggestion is to understand your novel first. Number 2, negotiate from a position of leverage by self-publishing and getting a following, and then publish your second book. Then you can go to the literary agents or go to a traditional publisher if you've proven something worth them considering. And then you can negotiate a much better deal. You can then negotiate, hey, I want you to pony up some of the marketing costs. I want you to line up a bunch of other aspects of marketing that they're just leaving it to you to do all on your own, initially, if you were just an initial unpublished author. So I think that's an important long-term consideration. You got to keep the long game involved in mind.
Okay. My last question to you, then I'll give it back to our other two, or we'll go ahead and talk about the conferences, is you said you have an editor. What would you suggest someone that's looking for an editor, first time author, just like you, stepping into this, and you decide, okay, now I need a professional editor? What would you suggest they consider?
Well, I do feel it's like, I think Amy mentioned it earlier on, or you did, that it's important to network, and y'all, suggest going to these seminars and meeting people. And really, it's through a personal network that you find people that you can trust. I mean, that there's a lot of people out there that, just like in the industry, there's people out there that promise a lot and don't deliver much, and there's a lot to say for people that have a proven track record with repeat business that people continue to work with, right? That demonstrates reliability, capability, talent, and a lot of honesty and integrity in their business dealings. And so utilizing a personal network through meeting people in these seminars or people that are in the industry, rather than just, Google search and finding somebody that paid to have their name pop up first on the search engine, is, to me, a much more reliable way. And I think you'll end up with a better product.
Okay. There was no bands and food trucks at your conference, right? Yours was just for authors. It wasn't for readers to meet authors, right?
That's correct.
Okay. I wanted to, if we could, in talking about, we have this ongoing discussion, Amy and I, and Val and Bjorn, because he's our substitute for Val. Because in India, it's become a thing for the 20 something crowd and early 30 something crowd. Book conferences, book festivals is a thing now. They're like big rock concerts where the young people go, they meet these authors, they go to concerts, there's lots of drinking and food and partying, and it's become a big thing there. And it's just the opposite here. It's kind of the geriatric book festivals here. And So I've been in a project and looking one, and I've actually posted one. There's one in Tennessee. Did Amy? Did you find that one?
Yeah, I'm switching profiles and then I'll find it.
Okay, there is a book conference in Tennessee. It happens to be a romance book conference for readers, not writers, right? And it's advertising online. I have to put my glasses on because I'm blind. Where you meet 50 plus authors, you shop with vendors, Friday night VIP movie screening, celebrity signups, a masquerade ball, tattoo artists. That kind of freaked me out. That kind of caught me off guard. A tattoo artist.
This sounds this does not sound like just a reader event, Russell. This just sounds like an all-encompassment. You can watch a movie, get a tattoo, drink to your heart's desire. I'm just throwing it out there.
Like a
I'm just
variety show.
saying, they're stepping up the game, right? At least this romance book conference for fans of romance books, they're stepping up the game here, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Which is what
I
we're
get
talking
that.
about needing in America if they're going to do anything like the huge party conferences that they have in India now. This is a step up.
Right.
It's
Okay.
it's kind of weird. I don't know what Ben, would you get a tattoo at a book conference?
No,
I
no.
think Bjorn would. I think
No.
Bjorn would. If it was a Viking, if it was a horn, I think Bjorn would get a tattoo. Maybe not
This
where anyone can see it.
Okay.
this is not a conference.
Okay.
This is not a canvas for tattoos.
So to be fair, okay, because you said it was a romance one. So to be fair, in all of my romance readers and whatever focused groups that I'm in, the dark romance readers do go and get those tattoos of like famous sayings from
They get
dark romance
tattoos of
novels.
what?
Of the same, like a combination of their favorite character in the book with the same, like there's one that's going around, and none of you guys are going to understand this, but
See, I don't believe this. This can't not be happening.
You shut your mouth.
No, I believe you're telling the truth. I
It's
just
true.
can't
So there
believe
is a
it.
series going around, and if you're in the Roman group, hold on, I lost you. Okay, you're back. I'm sorry, I lost all of you. But you believe me, Russell? Is that what you said?
I believe you. I just can't believe it. But I believe you. Go ahead with your story.
The big tattoo that's going around right now in all of my romance groups, which I'm in a lot of them, and no judge, okay? Don't judge me for them.
No,
Anyways,
I'm not judging them. I'm not judging them. You like what you like. I'm cool with it.
I'm not that I like them. I represent these authors, some of them. So it's you vow, I vow, we vow, right? And that is like a huge tattoo that's going around in the romance community. So it makes sense at a romance book festival, there would be a tattoo artist because most dark romance readers will get things like that tattooed on their body because the book or that series impact them. Readers, because that series impacted them in a way. And then they have their own subgroup about people that have gone and like what their tattoo looks like, what book inspired it. Like, I'm not even joking. It is a legit thing. So when you told me romance and tattoos, then it clicked for me. That makes sense. At a fantasy one, you're not going to find a tattoo artist because that's not what they want. They want maps and artists to draw them these maps or characters from their favorite fantasy novels. That would make sense too. But it just sounds a little crazy.
Okay.
I wouldn't do it.
This is my new goal as a writer. I want someone to tattoo one of my characters on their body. I said body. I didn't.
My mind did not go to the word body. Okay,
that's not where I did that intentionally, but
you dragged it out a bit for supposition.
My mind did not go there.
I may have to go to one of these romance conferences now just to see it to believe it. I think I'm going to have to go. I may even see if I can get Ben to go with me. Bjorn's over in Tennessee or somewhere, so he wouldn't. But
South Carolina, Tennessee, same thing.
I know. I
Be
would drive
completely honest.
Bjorn, this is in Tennessee. You should go and
Well,
see it.
you posted one about New Mexico looking for speakers.
Right.
In New Mexico, you posted that one, and then indie novels save our minds, which we all know is true. Some of the best books I've ever read were self-published novels. I mean,
That was an
that's a
article in
no-brainer.
the New York Times or in some literature this weekend about indie novels or like a solution to the death of novels. It's actually a very
Mhm.
good literary piece that I mean you can find on our Facebook page and you ought to read.
I mean, yes, I believe it because I work with it. But you had me at self-published. That's just my game. But I like, Ben, that you researched. You went to a conference. Okay, you were a team player. You went to a conference, to just learn more about the industry. And I feel like that's what a lot of first-time authors don't do. And there really is, and this is so sad to say, and I hate to say it, but there are so many predators in this industry, more so now than 5 years ago or whatever, that just prey on first time authors, and they end up taking so much money, and then you're in the hole, and then you don't want to write anymore. So kudos to you for doing it. Russell doesn't like conferences. That's not his thing. It's just not his thing. Sandy, who was one of the OGs on it, and if you guys have listened to us for a long time, you know who Sandy is. She loved them because she's like the networking queen, man. She would just go and work the room, and me and Russell would just sit at the table. Like, that's our jam. That's what I enjoy doing. But I don't know, Russell, he learned a lot at this conference. You got to be pro conference
I
now,
know.
man.
That's why I wanted him on because I wanted to, I'm always spewing the negativity about it. You're always arguing for it. I thought Ben would give us a new, fresh opinion and viewpoint on it. And I'm glad you were able to get him on because he's about to go to Alaska for the summer.
I love it. I love it.
I
Look,
think
Russell,
it's awesome.
I found a tattoo for you in one of my groups. Now, don't judge the name of my group. Okay, well, you can't see it, so never mind. I'll take
I'm
it back.
not judging.
But see this right here? Run, little mouse. Okay, that's a quote from a book that in a dark romance he says, and
And that's on the front of her arm. That's on the
yeah,
her forearm.
there are so many of them. See, you got these right here. I told you it makes sense when you said romance, man. It made sense. There's a book that was the inspiration for one. I'm just telling you. And now that you said romance, it all makes sense to me. But I wasn't lying. It was legit. I haven't read the Run Little Mouse quote from the book. That one's too dark for me. I can't do that one. But anyways, I'm just saying it is a legit thing, so it makes sense.
It's the best part of the show is you're talking about people tatting up their bodies with things from books.
I feel okay. Now I feel like
unbelievable.
I feel the need to defend myself. I don't have any tattoos. Okay, Josh is the one that's all tatted in my household. I don't have any tattoos. I have a thing about needles, and I honestly don't feel like there's anything in my life, maybe besides like the date of my kid's birth or something, that I would want permanently inked on my body.
You can't remember that without inking a tattoo on your body.
I know them.
Dates?
No, I know them. I know them. Okay. It just takes me a minute, but I know them. They're so close together. I still know them. I just get the years mixed up sometimes.
That's carelessness. That's not anything.
I'm not I'm not anti-tattoo. I just keep thinking, what if you change your mind? Now you got to go through all the expense of, yeah.
No, see, just no, I can't. Kudos to people that do that though. That it's like really impactful. But Russell, I'm still on this whole Readers Book Festival thing, man. I'm still going to argue. I'm still arguing with you that Comic-Cons are like that. Comic-Cons are a smaller branch of a book festival.
You lost that argument.
I'm going to argue
I forgot who it was. You had like the whole crowd argue against you, and you had to capitulate. So
I doubled down. This is the hill I will die on. I doubled down on this hill. I will die on this hill. There are so many fantasy authors at those events. If you're not going, you're totally lacking. There's a whole literary track of a Comic-Con.
Hey, Ben, would you be the tiebreaker here? Conferences, yes or no?
So far, I feel like it was a great experience for me. The one I went to, I learned a lot. I can see where there's still, a ton more to learn, obviously. And I look forward to going to more conferences. I am going to go to more conferences. And try to network more into the historical fiction genre there that I'm focused on. I think you can learn a lot from what works, what doesn't. You know, networking and getting on shows like this. I mean, that is a big thing as well. The whole network and how everybody helps each other promote their novels.
Do you think going with a group like say me, you, and Russell here go to a conference together, would you think it would benefit more when you're with people that you're more familiar with as a group, or do you think it's better to go solo?
I think it depends on your personality. So, you know, if you are a very socially outgoing individual, extrovert, like don't have any problem approaching people, I think, you know, you going on your own can be a great thing because you're really focused on meeting new people, expanding your network is one reason to go. That's not to say you can't learn from each other as well. You can have a more in-depth conversation, but I think I wouldn't hesitate to go alone or with a group. I feel comfortable either way, and especially if something doesn't seem right, you know, you can really kind of divide and conquer, and ask around a little bit better. But yeah, so I mean, either way's good. I mean, I wouldn't, but certainly if you're an introvert and you're just going to go there and sit there and listen to the session and never introduce yourself and never talk to anybody, you might want to go with some other people.
Right.
Yeah, kind of.
That's a
what
fair
I
point.
do.
Fair
That's
point.
what I do. I just go there, and then not sadly, but then someone recognizes me and they're like, Amy. And then I'm like, oh crap, someone knows my name. And then, then the whole thing kind of starts. But I'm more like, I'm there to listen and absorb it. And then I like process it. I just process things slower. So
Well,
I
not
usually end up
everybody's famous
purchasing
like
recording.
you, Amy. You're famous, so everybody,
I wish I was
on it.
famous.
Somebody like
No.
me, they're like, "Hey, sir, can you go get me a glass of water?" You know, that's
No.
Amy, would you spend all
No.
your time beating off the fans, trying to get them away for you so you could pay attention, or how would it work?
I just kind of sit there, man. Like Russell has seen me. I honestly just kind of sit there and I like process things. And if you know me, great, like I'll acknowledge you. But like if I'm like really serious about a session, it's like something I really need to know, I will acknowledge you because I'm not going to be rude. I'm not a rude person, but I will wait to like have a conversation with you until after because I'm like locked in. Like, hey, this is something I really am interested in and really want to know. So yes, like it's great to see you. You're fantastic, but I'm going to do this and I'll like catch up with you later kind of thing. I am very much like that. Like I am the queen of multitasking in my house, but I can't like dive into something super deep while having side conversations. I'm not that way, to be honest. But
what about you, Russell? How do you approach it?
I don't talk to people.
You don't?
I do not.
Mm-mm.
I'm there for business. I don't talk to people.
Okay.
Yeah.
We need to go, Amy.
I know, Russell, you and your looks. I got your look, man. I was just answering questions. I got your look. Well, you guys, it wouldn't be a Monday morning if I didn't get, the look from Russell. That just always makes my week and my Monday morning. But if you're here in Texas, stay dry, you guys. If you're down here by where I live in Houston, we're all going to get rain today. So stay dry if you can. But have a good Monday and a good rest of your week, you guys. And until next Monday, everybody. Bye for now, everyone.